gentlemen, this is Vince Miller. Thank you so much for joining me for this devotional. If this is your first time here, no, we're just reading through the Bible one book at a time, jumping from an Old Testament book to a New Testament book. Right now, we're in the book of Galatians. We're in chapter 5, reading beginning at verse 2 down through verse 4. Here's how the text reads. Look, I, Paul, that's the author, say to you that if you accept circumcision, ouch, there it is again, Christ will be of no advantage to you. I testify again to every man who accepts circumcision, ouch, that he is obligated to keep the whole law. You are severed. Catch the euphemism there. You are severed from Christ. You who would be justified by the law, you have fallen away from grace. You know, since we've been reading through the book of Galatians kind of slowly, it could feel like Paul is overemphasizing the point that good works have no bearing on a man's salvation. But he's actually not overemphasizing the point. He just wants the Galatians to see the argument from every possible angle. And in these 3 verses, he explains that a man who advocates for this position is presented with a real dilemma. And the dilemma is this: the addition of even one good work to the gospel of God's grace would remove the advantage of grace. And it's this advantage that makes the gospel so good, because that's what you want. Radical acceptance by God despite your sin. You want grace, and you need grace, and you want it from everybody in life, but you especially want it from God. Now, remember, we all come to God broken, sinful, and imperfect. This is what makes the Christian faith so different from every other faith out there. God accepts us as we are. He receives us as broken, wayward, and sinful sons. However, when we even for a second revert to the belief that our moral rightness makes us righteous, what we have done at that moment in time is actually reprehensible. For the second time, we have assumed that a righteous act of our own doing has some bearing on God's acceptance of us. And this is an insidious thought, because this thought is an attempt to make ourselves righteous. Now, does God want us to live a moral life? You bet he does. But do my moral acts have a bearing on my righteousness? Well, no, never. Absolutely not. Yet, when we think they do, and thus act as if they do, we not only miss out on the advantage of grace, we simultaneously gain a disadvantage. I call it a double dilemma here. And the disadvantage we gain is this: we are now subject to the whole moral law because we're attempting to be saved by our moral good deeds. So hopefully you see that double dilemma, right? A gospel contingent on moral righteousness both removes the advantage of grace and gains the disadvantage of the weight of the burden of good deeds. And honestly, I just want to let you know that sounds exhausting, because it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Notice the pun. Good works don't work. So today, we are warned by Paul of 2 things. First, be cautious of any teaching that suggests adding anything to the gospel of salvation. The only thing you need is faith in Jesus' good works already done for you. Second, and on a very personal note here, fellas, in those moments that you feel good about something you've done, morally well or righteous, watch out, because this insidious thought could persuade you that your good work or works makes you righteous or more loved by God. But it doesn't. It doesn't. All it does is lead you away from the advantage of grace toward the disadvantage of moral good deeds. Well, I hope this has blessed you today. I hope it's made clear some of what Paul has been communicating to us over and over and over and over again. And if it has blessed you, share it with someone else to bless them. That's all I ask. And with that, I'll see you right back here again tomorrow.